Spacecraft 1.
Welcome back. And we have separation of the first Iridium satellite. You can see it at the bottom left of the screen drifting away. An on-time separation. Now every 100 seconds will begin a sequence where satellite 2, 3, 4, and continuing on will deploy. So 1 down, 9 to go, and we'll be back at time for the next deployment. Fif 58 minutes, 43 seconds into flight. We're getting ready for the second deployment. This one may be visible from the very top of the screen.
Spacecraft 4, separation confirmed.
We have deployment. The second of the 10 Iridium satellites successfully deployed, drifting away from the Falcon 9 second stage. Now, just for your information, we have 10 Iridium Next satellites that we launched with. They are stacked in 2 layers of 5. So the first 5 satellites that we are deploying are coming off of the top stack. We can see a couple. Others are going to be hidden by other satellites or out of view of the camera. Then when we go to satellites 6 through 10, those will be coming off of the lower stack. And so we'll get a couple of close-up views of the satellites that are closest to the camera. Meanwhile, we're switching back and forth on orbit between the cameras looking at the nozzle on the upper stage, the map that we've got showing you where the Falcon 9 and the Iridium satellites are, and then the view as right now, the payload camera looking forward at the Iridium satellites. So currently we're about 40 seconds away from the deployment of the third satellite. Now this satellite will not be in view, so we'll only hear confirmation via telemetry. Coming up, we're about 10 seconds to deployment. Now it looks like we may have lost telemetry coverage as we expected for the deployment of the third satellite. We've heard the call out, loss of signal from the Mauritius ground station as expected. So we'll just stay here for a minute while we wait for the Falcon 9 telemetry to be acquired by the next ground station, which I believe is Dubai, and then we'll get indication on whether or not the third satellite has deployed.
Dubai acquisition of signal.
Spacecraft 2, separation confirmed.
We have reacquired telemetry from the Falcon 9 over the Dubai ground station. And as you just heard, they said Spacecraft 2 separation confirmed. That's actually the third satellite. In some of the numbering schemes, we count from 0 to 9. So in this case, satellite, the third one planned to deploy, did go at the correct time. We now have confirmation through telemetry. the next separation coming up right now. A nice view coming off of the side of the payload dispenser that's mounted on top of the Falcon 9 second stage.
Spacecraft 5 separation confirmed.
We're T plus 1 hour, 3 minutes and 12 seconds into flight. We're about 40 seconds away, a little less than that, from the deployment of the 5th satellite. Now looking at the notes, this one will not be in view of the camera, so we should just get telemetry confirmation from the avionics engineering team monitoring it from the control center. In the forward-looking view of the payload camera, you can see the fourth satellite drifting away still, that white image just to the left, and we're about ready.
Spacecraft 3 separation confirmed.
And we have confirmed the 5th of the 10 Iridium Next satellites has deployed. However, this one was not in the field of view. We've got a view looking forward again. Satellite 6 preparing for deploy. This should be from the bottom of the screen, so you might see a little bit of motion as it moves away.
Spacecraft 6 separation
And there it
confirmed.
goes into the sunlight over the eastern hemisphere as we're passing over the Arabian Peninsula. 6 satellites down, there are 4 still to go in this 15-minute deployment sequence. A view again looking forward, a minute, actually about 30 seconds away from separation of the next Iridium satellite. The view of the MVAC-D engine right now, you see that white fluffy item in the foreground? That's actually, as we point out before, solid oxygen. A little bit of the liquid oxygen pump discharge goes overboard and freezes, so that's the oxygen you breathe, except it's actually frozen solid. Although it's actually very light and fluffy, so it doesn't do any harm when it eventually gets jostled off of the tube. We're about 15 seconds out. We now switch back forward to the view to look at separation of satellite 7, which I believe we will see coming from the top of the screen.
Spacecraft 9, separation confirmed.
So the 7th satellite deployed, also you may have heard it called Spacecraft 9. That's a numbering scheme that doesn't indicate that was the 9th of 10. We're through 7 with 3 more to go. Camera views have now switched forward again for satellite number 8. This one's on the back side of the dispenser, so we won't see it coming free from the Falcon 9.
Spacecraft 7, separation confirmed.
There's the confirmation. The 8th of 10 satellites has successfully separated from Falcon 9. There are 2 more to go. The next one up will be the satellite that you see currently on the payload camera, so we'll get a good close-up of that one separating. The 10th satellite then is on the backside of the dispenser, and we'll only hear from telemetry that it's separated, but we won't see that one. Camera again has now switched according to the timeline. We're looking at satellite number 9 preparing for deploy coming up in less than 10 seconds.
Spacecraft 10, separation confirmed.
And a great view from the payload camera watching the 9th of 10 satellites deploy. You can see in the background, as we saw in the last flight, several bright dots. Those are earlier Iridium satellites that were deployed minutes ago, forming that long chain of satellites coming off of the Falcon 9. So we're down to 1 to go. That'll be coming up in just under a minute and a half or so from now at about 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 18 seconds. We'll come back and watch that last one separate and then wrap up the webcast. Well, it looks like a bare dispenser, but there's actually 1 more Iridium satellite left on the backside of the dispenser. We're waiting for deploy confirmation.
Spacecraft 8, separation confirmed. Final spacecraft deployed.
Outstanding.
That's 40 in orbit in 2018.
We heard the call out, 40 in orbit in 2017. So we're 10 for 10. All 10 Iridium satellites have deployed right on time into the desired orbit. Falcon 9 looked good all the way through that sequence. So that's